Say when. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 21st episode of Don't Forget the Popcorn. A few weeks ago, I did my favorite westerns of all time. The video did pretty well, and I'll link it below if you'd like to see it. In the comments, a lot of people pointed out films I left off the list, some I agreed with and disagreed with. There are two westerns I did leave off the list that were mentioned a lot, and I thought back, and these two deserve some love. Those two films are Tombstone and Shane. So I'll be reviewing Tombstone today and Shane in the coming weeks. Tombstone, 1993, directed by George P. Cosmatos, Kevin Jarrells, and ghost direction by Kurt Russell. It stars Kurt Russell, Val Kilmer, Sam Elliott, Bill Paxton, Michael Bain, Powers Booth, and Dana Delany. Tombstone is a tale of three brothers who travel to Tombstone, Arizona to live a normal life after being lawmen. They are joined by Doc Holliday, a friend of Wyatt Earp, who is seeking peace while dying of tuberculosis. The boys are soon back at their old ways of law and order after the town is being terrorized by a gang of cowboys who wear red sashes, led by Curly Bill. I will warn you, I will be discussing some things in detail with some spoilers. So if you haven't seen Tombstone, I recommend that you watch that first and then come back to this video. Tombstone is a great, fun, and gritty 90s Western that I think epitomizes the 90s and the genre and is one of the best post-60s Westerns easily. This movie has a lot of attitude and personality to it that I think is highly appealing and gripping to certain types of viewers. But this is also easily a Western I can see fans of more contemporary Westerns not liking for various reasons. The story is a bit different from how the events of the real Wyatt Earp and Doc Holliday took place, which historians usually have an issue with. But that's not what this video or review is about. We are here to review the movie for what it is, a film. First thing, the intro to the movie is hilarious from Robert Mitchum, who I believe was supposed to be in the film. It sets us right into the action where we witness a murder at a Mexican wedding by a band of freak outlaw cowboys who get drunk and high off opium all day. Right away, you will notice some of the slick and funny, yet at the same time kind of cringeworthy, yet quotable dialogue. You go to hell. You first. When we meet up with Wyatt Earp, brilliantly played by my man Kurt Russell, we learn he is retired and ready to move him and his family to Tombstone, Arizona, where they plan to make some good money off the town and put law work in their rear view and meet up with the homie Doc Holliday, played by Val Kilmer, who gives the performance of a lifetime. This movie is quite entertaining and really never drags. This movie at its core is a film about law and order, friendship, love and commitment, and moral obligation. Highly ambitious, and it really lies its focus on the characters and action. The high stakes and the commitments made from various character to various character is the driving force of this film. It's a film that isn't trying to be more than what it is. It's an action western meant to entertain its viewer. It's not a film meant to throw you down a rabbit hole of thought, just one to watch with your friends or when you're feeling like an outlaw. It's a stand and cheer, get 'em type of movie that offers lots of satisfaction when certain characters are killed at various points in the film. I know anyone watching who's seen the movie and likes it still wanted to see Ike Clayton die on screen. Tombstone raises the question of right and wrong and is a major theme throughout the film. People commit various crimes and get away with a lot of them, while others are criticized for their methods in apprehending said criminals. Particularly when Curly Bill murders Marshal Fred White and gets away with it, and the Earps and Holliday are judged and almost arrested for their involvement in the battle at the OK Corral. It's an easy story to follow and has enough heart and emotion blended with the action to keep any viewer entertained. The real heart and soul of this movie and why it works so well is its characters and their relationships. I want to get into two in particular, and I'm sure that you guys know who they are. With that said, not every character is well fleshed out, and not all of the relationships within the film are compelling to watch. Kurt Russell as Wyatt Earp and Val Kilmer as Doc Holliday are sensational and carry this film from the start to the finish. The relationship in the film is a beautiful one, and I believe is the absolute driving force of this film. Kurt Russell is tough, slick, and unwavering, while also being a caring and sensitive man with a decent moral compass. Kurt Russell gives us his classic brand of action Kurt with his funny, intriguing yet slightly corny and cringy one liners. It may not translate beautifully into a Western performance, but a good one nonetheless, with a character and a performance we can get behind and root for. He looks the part though, with some great costume designs and a smooth, silky mustache that ties his look together so nicely. We won't talk about the eyeliner though. We know exactly what we are getting when we see him slap an overweight young Billy Bob Thornton and delivers the line, "You gonna do something or just stand there and bleed?" Totally gives me vibes from his collaborations with the great John Carpenter. Now, let's talk about the real gem, the main reason to watch this movie, and the reason this movie is exceptional and not average. Val Kilmer. Val Kilmer gives the best performance of his career playing the dying, educated, silky smooth talking poker player Doc Holliday. Val Kilmer came with it 1,000%, not only committing to one of the most quotable performances of all time, with the dialogue delivered fantastically in that velvety southern accent, but he really looks sick and dying with tuberculosis, thin, pale, and sweaty. Having said that, he is the best dressed and smoothest character in the film with the most charm and elegance to his character. A true aristocrat of his time and one of the fastest guns from the South. His lines are the best in the film, and he delivers them with such grace that every one of them sticks in your head like a catchy song. "You're not wearing a bustle. How lewd." Like, there's so many. Come on, man. "I have two guns, one for each of you. Say when. I'm your Huckleberry." There's just so many, man. You can watch this movie one time and you'll come out spitting Val Kilmer lines. I promise you. His character arc is the best in the film and the most heart gripping, as you will be emotionally stricken at his character's conclusion. I wholeheartedly believe that this is the biggest Best Supporting Actor snub at the Oscars. My man couldn't even get a nomination. Without Val Kilmer in this film, it wouldn't even be close to as great as it is. Guys, real quick, if you made it this far in the video, do me a favor, slap the like button and subscribe, all right? Now, let's continue. Singing this film's praise is necessary, but there is a reason I didn't have it in my top 10. This film has plenty of issues, but I can't entirely blame that on the movie. And I actually admire this film for what it was able to pull off despite the tumultuous production and huge on the fly changes made. They had to change directors, and many cast and crew were fired or quit. Kurt Russell put himself on the line, doing various rewrites with Val Kilmer, sacrificing his own screen time and story arc in favor of Kilmer's character, whom everyone believed in. It was the right move for the pacing and entertainment value, but it also created a story with lots of supporting characters suffering from any type of character development and motive explanation. Sam Elliott and Bill Paxton as the two brothers feel flat and lifeless, although their acting is good. We just don't get enough of them. Doc Holliday feels more like Wyatt's brother than the other two. They lack the emotional relationship you'd like to see with characters of brothers. And this leads to one of the worst rain scenes where Bill Paxton's character dies and Kurt Russell runs into the rain that's only pouring on him and a little bit of the town, but it's not the whole town. You can look at it and you see that in the back, it's not raining. Oh, it's very, very bad. But having said all that, Wyatt's relationship with his wife is barely touched on at all. You see, she is an opium addict who clearly has a disconnect with her husband, but it would have been nice to see more of them. Kurt Russell's character really doesn't have much chemistry with either of the females in his life. And the closing shot of the film with him and his mistress, Josephine Marcus, dancing in the snow is really another low point in this film. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But tell me, y'all didn't laugh when y'all saw it. It just felt so unrealistic and was just poorly written in. It just felt like something they threw in at the last minute. Anywho, the dialogue in this movie leaves a lot to be desired. Having said all that, though, I give enormous props to Kurt for doing what he did for this film and bridging the gap between the directors and the crew to get the job done. He's a true gent for that. And Kurt Russell was said to be one of the greatest men that a lot of people have ever met. This movie also has one of the most generic scores and some of the weakest cinematography I've ever seen in a Western. It's got just a basic Western, kind of 90s feeling score to it, though, nothing we haven't heard before. Scores of the 60s Westerns had a particular sound, but they all had a uniqueness to them. Think of like Fistful of Dollars or Once Upon a Time in the West. Also, the cinematography. I think the great shots of the plains, mountains, and open fields with gorgeous sunsets and sunrises are some of the best things to watch in a Western film. And this just didn't have too much visually to awe at outside of the action. I highly recommend watching this on Blu ray, though. The transfer is decent and looks much better than the DVD, which doesn't look good at all. Many flaws can be seen in some of the focus. It can be seen as nitpicking, and I wouldn't blame you if you said I was. It's just some things that could have took this from a banger to a straight masterpiece. Tombstone is not a perfect movie, but I'll tell you, it is highly rewatchable, fun, exciting, holds your attention throughout. It is well paced, which a lot of westerns often suffer from. It's a clear cult classic and a 90s classic at this point, and although it didn't crack my top 10, I wholeheartedly believe it is one of the best westerns ever made, and I should have given it an honorable mention spot. A true gem for action fans and one new fans of the genre could start with. The film does have its flaws visually in the writing and with some of its inaccuracies, but it is saved with great performances and a high level of entertainment value. Val Kilmer's performance is truly one of the greats of the 90s and is one of the most underrated of all time. Kurt Russell, though, is the real MVP for taking the reins on this and keeping the train on the tracks and getting this film done. Overall, I will give Tombstone an 8.8 out of 10. Guys, thank you for tuning in to my Tombstone review. Let me know what you think of the movie in the comments below. Make sure you subscribe so you can see my upcoming reviews. If there's a film you'd like to hear me review, let me know in the comments below. I'll see you guys next week. And don't forget the popcorn. Well, bye.